remember we talked about this morning too, that the psoas, part of how it runs, remember, let's think about the right one. It's coming from about here on the front of the spine to about here. So it goes this way, so if we traction the leg that way, that'll stretch it. And also, if we traction it just away from her head, that stretches it.
Okay, sure.
So that's what we're going to do. And everybody come up here and look for a minute, just at her feet. And tell me what you see.
The resting position.
Yeah. In terms of the difference between them.
She laterally rotates out with her right,
Yep.
and then it's the left is higher. The left foot's higher.
Mm-hmm.
The right
It looks
foot's
like it's more swollen.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it does. Oh, and this was the one where you had the fracture, right? Or the injury.
No, I didn't have, I just had muscle tears.
Just muscle tears, okay. But so this is rotated out to the right more, so that could mean it could have been glutes piriformis, which we just did, but it's still there, so it might be psoas. I think
There's
also,
like a length difference.
yes,
Yeah.
doesn't this one look higher? And that can be psoas also. So if I had lots of time, I'd go both directions, but I'm more interested in going this way and stretching out the right.
I just had this done too.
Did you?
So interesting.
Okay. So this is a myofascial technique, and with myofascial, you need to go slow. You can't rush fascia. And what happens if I try is just that, I'll pull her whole body down the table. And if I'm not paying close attention, I'll think that I really got her legs to lengthen, but then when I come up to the head, I'll see that her whole head is down. Whoops, the sheet didn't. That's pretty good. Okay. So I want to be gentle to my own body too. And this is much harder to do with oil on your hands, which is why some people just always start a massage this way, or almost always. You can do it face down. I didn't develop that habit, so I don't feel skilled at it, but you can. And if you have oil on your hands and you really want to do this, you can wrap the ankles in the sheet, the top sheet, or you can reach under the bottom, I guess. I feel like when I do that, although I can still get the lateral stretch, I can't quite tell if I'm really getting a lengthening stretch, so I don't, it's not my first choice. I just felt some resistance, so that's as far as I should go for the moment this way. So I could either just stay right here at the edge of the resistance and wait.
Do you have equal force on each leg or more on her right because it's slightly shorter? Or?
To start with, I probably start with equal, because first I just want to elongate everything. But now I'm going to start coming over this way. And so I'm going to move my feet too. And I want to be lined up so that my body is more facing the leg I'm really focused on. So I have more leverage with that. And I don't want to let my shoulder come way forward and overwork my biceps and stuff. I want to try to keep my scapulas retracted. So that's the difference between this and this. It's going to change my whole body shape. And as I'm able, I'm going to keep coming around. I do a lot of this with my feet. It's kind of heel toe thing. And I don't want it to get distracted by just the sideways motion. I want to make sure that I keep lengthening too. That's important because it keeps space in the joint, so I don't kind of jam the medial aspect of the joint up against, of the femur up against the socket.
So you're stretching this side.
Right. And the other way I can shift my leg position, like now I'll bump into the table leg if I do that heel toe thing. What I'm trying to learn is really shifting my weight into the one leg so I can take the other off and move it smoothly. Linda, are you feeling a stretch, and if so, can you show us where?
Yeah, mostly in my low back.
Okay.
Yeah, my deep hip flexors may be lengthening a little bit.
Mhm. And the low back could also be, the psoas is a deep hip flexor that attaches to the low back in front and sides. So this could also be getting QL, quadratus lumborum.
Yeah, it's getting the QL.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be getting the psoas, but I'm feeling it a lot
More
in
in
the
the
QL.
QL. It might be to get the psoas that I would need to be flatter down to the table, that maybe her hip was too flexed to be stretching that. Okay, so that's, so if that is not getting her leg far enough back to stretch the psoas, this wasn't on my list, but there's a side-lying way we might do at the end. But let's make sure we get through this first. So what's next? Next on the list?
Almost seems like that leg is,
Longer now
yeah, longer than the left.
than the other one. Right, so that's a reason, so part of that might just be position on the table because of what we just did, but it could also be, that's why in a full session, if there's time, it's nice to go both ways. Often because you just have an hour or whatever you have to kind of make choices all the time about what's more important. But, so I just did a little bit the other way to try to not, to make up for that. What's next?
Cramping, gastroc, or tibias, anterior.
Okay, so we kind of did cramping gastroc and soleus already. In this position, it would mean, again, they're down here, so I'd want her to press against this hand to contract tibialis anterior, and then I'd want to come here and stretch them. If tibialis anterior is cramping, then I'd have her press into this hand, and then come around and stretch it that way. Okay. And then looking at the clock, and I'm going to keep us going. So next is,
The cramping erectors.
okay. So now I think we can give you the bolster if you'd like. Would you like the bolster under your knee?
Sure.
So if she had a cramp in her back at this point, I could put my hands here and say, with just a fraction of your strength and with your back, not your neck, just begin as if you were about to sit up. Begin to move against my resistance as if you were going to sit up. And then stop. And I release my pressure, let her complete it, and relax down. That activated the flexors, which are mostly going to be in the abdominal area, including the psoas that we just tried to release. So that contracted the flexors, and that would turn off the erector spinae. And then we'd want to stretch them. Is that what's next? To stretch the erectors, or what's next on there?
Just lumbar
Just the
erectors,
zone.
glutes and hip,
Yeah,
passive
okay.
stretch, burrito.
Okay, all right.
That's burrito.
Okay. Okay, so it's called that. That's an informal name, but it's
Okay.
because we're going to roll you up like a burrito, wrap you up like a burrito. I've also had people call it cocoon or papoose. And
It's called babies. Baby burritos.
Interesting.
It's a fitted shape
because
too.
we wanted to be covered when we did the next bit. So there's two ways to get into position from here. One's like this. Get her ankles up on my shoulders. Get a good grip on the sheet so it doesn't come undone. And now I'm going to come to, for me it works best to come toward the side of the shoulders it's
Wow.
on. Some people find it the opposite, but as I keep coming round, usually for me this works better. So now I want to listen really carefully for resistance.
Wow.
So I'm listening where the contact is, but what I'm listening for is mostly over here. The left glutes and hamstrings.
How does that feel, Linda?
Feels okay. It feels a little like what she was doing with the psoas work.
Yeah, it's in the same family. This is another.
It's just farther down in the glutes than in the QL.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt smidge of decrease on stopping rather than pushing past it. And now it's ready to go a little farther.
Do you think your breathing has changed, Linda? Have you become more like a determined breath? Like, has your rate speeded up a little bit?
I don't think so, no.